Welcome to the Biz Bash podcast, where we make biz strategy a piece of cake. I'm Elizabeth.
And I'm Cami, but you might know us better as Eliza Ann Calligraphy and Cami Monet. We want to help you, our fellow stationers, artists, and calligraphers, confidently build a profitable and personality-driven creative biz.
We're here to share our honest-to-goodness advice and actionable strategies for ambitious artists.
So put on your party hat, quit being a procrastinator gator, and let's get this party started.
Howdy, friends. Welcome back to the Biz Birthday Bash podcast. We have a very special guest with us today talking all about Pinterest. We've been so excited to talk to her and learn all the things. So I'm so excited to introduce Renee of My Girlfriend Renee. And Renee is basically the girlfriend you never knew you needed. So she's all about helping you start your business or take the leap and share everything that she knows about starting, building, and growing a brand. And honestly, she is so darn good at it, y'all. If you look at her Instagram, it is like aesthetic to the max, like her little pink stars and everything. It makes me so happy. So she is awesome at branding, and she has been sharing a ton of Pinterest tips lately. So we're like, we have got to get her on to teach y'all all the things. So welcome, Renee.
Hey girl, hey, I'm so excited. I'm like a mega fan, so thank you so much for having me.
Yes, it's going to be fantastic. I can already tell this episode is just going to be so lit, or whatever people say.
We are going to learn all the things.
All the things. So I know I kind of already introduced you, but why don't you just tell us a little bit more about you and your business and where you live, all the things.
So I'm from Southern California, and I'm actually still pretty new in my actual business, but I've been an entrepreneur for a long time. I have worked for myself forever. I was a hairstylist, spray tan technician, so I am like a total girl's girl, like girlfriend. And then now I do a monthly shirt subscription for small business owners. I do a cute monthly motivational shirt that's a surprise. And then we have little mini mastermind Zoom calls every single month. And I bring on other experts in the industry, or a lot of the members. If they are strong in one topic, I have them come on and educate us and share their knowledge. So that way we can all learn from each other, because we all pretty much have amazing stuff we learn by doing our own businesses. And I think it's amazing to share that knowledge.
Yes, absolutely. And oh my gosh, I knew you were a hairdresser just by looking at you and your vibe. Like, now it all makes sense. You just have that like really bubbly, outgoing personality, or like where I just feel like I need to like tell you all my secrets for some reason.
Yes, I've been doing that for years. I am trained professionally.
Yes, I love it. Okay, so I feel like your background being the ultimate girly girl and all that kind of led to your beautiful branding and like the whole look and feel of your website, your vibe, your Instagram. Can you just tell us some tips about staying consistent with your brand and how you achieve that cohesive look?
Yeah, I think I always tell people, because a lot of people, when they ask, they're like, how do you get that way? And I'm like, girl, scroll back. You will see the Hot Mess Express that was delivered in the first like couple months. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have a filter, which tip number one, go buy a filter on Lightroom. Like, that will change your game in your life on Instagram like nobody's business. And it's like $12. So I kind of evolved. I didn't really notice my pattern until I started kind of just buying things to take my brand to the next level. So I bought a backdrop. I did my wall. I painted everything. And then I started working with a graphic designer designing my shirts. And she helped me with like how to do the stars on my stuff and everything like that. So it kind of like evolved. I know it sounds like it would be totally planned out, but it wasn't. Now it is, but it was very just evolving over time. And I was like, pink is so cute. Pink is my happy color. And then I just stuck with it.
Yeah, it's definitely very bright and bold and colorful and playful. Super fun, because I know when Cami told me, she was like, Renee reached out to us about a podcast. She looks super fun. That was like the first thing Cami said.
And that's what I wanted. Yeah, when I was creating my website, I told my graphic designer I want it to be like cozy, top knot sweats, like the cutest fun girls' night you will ever have. So when I was building my website and kind of like doing that, I had that feeling in mind. So I'm so happy you said that, because I'm like, nailed it.
Yeah, you definitely nailed it. And I love your tip too about getting like the filter or preset on Lightroom, because I have just recently started like diving into the presets and making my own, because sometimes when I buy them, like sometimes they just don't work right for what I want. And then I get all flustered. So making your own too, y'all, is like really awesome. But yes, that is a huge, huge tip for keeping things looking consistent. So I'm really glad you said that, because I feel very validated right now.
And it's a cheap thing that you can do. So even if you have like no tech experience, I mean, obviously you still have to edit it with the filter. I mean, sometimes you have to turn down the saturation and turn down the brightness and all that. But for the most part, if you just want to throw a filter on it and never look at it again, you can always do that. And it's literally like $12 to $25. Or like you said, if you're patient, you can make your own. I just personally am lazy and I'm like, nah, girl. Mm-mm.
I mean, I bought my own too. Listen, I bought some too. And then I was like, you know what? I feel like I can do better. So now I literally have like a preset for every type of product and like different spots in my office because the lighting is different in every spot. I'm so extra about it now. And I'm like, I wish I could sell these, but I feel like they wouldn't work for everyone because my office is like green. So it like throws off things. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about, you guys. Let's roll it back before we go crazy. So let's start talking about Pinterest. Okay. So why do you think we should make Pinterest part of our marketing strategy?
Well, I'll tell you how I got into it. So it's not like you launch your blog and you're literally like, yes, it's launched. Everybody come to my house. Come and tell me how amazing I is. Read my content. Like, and then nobody comes, right? You're like, why is nobody coming to my website? I did all this work. Why is it not happening? So of course I got all upset because I'm like, what do I do? How do I get my word out? Because getting people to leave Instagram or leave Facebook, it's hard. And you're not going to be like, oh, come and read my blog post and then have to click the link, click out. So I'm like, how the heck do you build traffic? And I kept hearing Pinterest, Pinterest, Pinterest. And if you really think about it, Pinterest is a search engine. It is Google for like women. So when you go to Pinterest, it's usually like, we'll take an example like Cami, when you think of Pinterest, what is the first thing that comes to your mind?
Pretty.
Exactly. And you go to search for things, right? Like,
yes,
you would be like, okay, I want to decorate my office. So you type in like cute office ideas or pink office inspiration. So it's just kind of like, you have to think about it that way. So when you go on there, every single pin leads back to somebody's website. It's freaking genius. You're like, holy crap. This whole time I've been blinded by Pinterest and I didn't even know. You've been reading blogs this whole time and you had no idea. So Pinterest is the hugest driver for blog traffic. And it was like, and it's free. I mean, reason number one, right? Like, do you agree?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, obviously. I just love that you called it Google for women because that's
so true because we're visual. You know what I mean?
I know. It's like when I'm looking for like a cute new pair of shoes or some like style inspiration, I don't like go to Google. I go to Pinterest and I'm like, oh, outfit for fall wedding or whatever,
Exactly.
like you don't type it into Google. I feel like just like that idea alone is super helpful to think about.
It is because people think of it as a social media platform and it's not. It's completely opposite. People go on Pinterest with the intent to find an answer to their problem. Social media is more entertainment, casual scrolling. You come across something, you're like, oh, I like her. I'll click on it. But when you're on Pinterest, you're going with the intent of finding something.
Yeah, definitely. You're going out of your way for something very specific, most likely, because you know that's the place to be. And if you like click on a photo, then it's like more photos that look like this. And that's why you can like be on there forever.
Exactly. So you're consuming people's content. So you want to make sure that you're putting your content for those girls to see because it might not be like a genuine idea. Like you're not going in with the intent of turning them into a customer. You're just going with brand awareness.
Yeah, so more like inspiration and just being like, oh, if I can just kind of get them looking at my stuff, not necessarily the end goal to sell right at the beginning, like going in with that strategy instead.
Yes, selling on Pinterest, like, I mean, as you know, even on Instagram, all social media, we're so bombarded every single day with sales, schemy stuff like the the DM that's like, hey girl, you'd be perfect for my team. I mean, you're just constantly getting sold to. So when you go to Pinterest, you want to provide value so that way you can get them to trust you. And then comes the sale, over time, not just buy my shit,
Exactly.
Yeah. So how often would you say people are actually clicking on items to leave Pinterest to go to someone's website? Because I find when I'm on Pinterest, which honestly isn't that frequently, I'm not like the ideal like Pinterest user or whatever, but I feel like I tend to like stay in the realm of Pinterest. So how do you like get these people? What kind of content do you need to be creating to get these people to want to come to your site to start that relationship?
I always say like Pinterest is long game strategy. It's kind of like YouTube where you know how you save things. So say I'm on Pinterest and I'm like, okay, I need a blog post for SEO, but I'm not necessarily there yet. So I see the pin, it says like, here's SEO tips for beginners. So I save it and I don't necessarily go look at it today, but in a couple of months when I realize I need to double down on my SEO, I go back and revisit it. So it's kind of like a bookmark. So you want to keep your content out, because necessarily if you're just searching and scrolling like how you say you are, you're going to save things and then you can always go back to them. So my thing is like, I'd rather take a chance of you saving it, visiting it at another time versus just saying, oh, they're not going to click it, I'm not going to post it. Like I want to be everywhere to all the things. And if it's free, you bet your butt I'm going to be on that page.
Right. Now I feel like I'm going to have you like address a couple of like my other Pinterest fears, quote unquote, because I think there's like hangups where where people are like, oh, I don't want to do that because XYZ or this or that. And so one of the big things for like Cami and I is that we both design custom wedding stationery. And there's a huge problem in the industry with copycats. I think there are a lot of copycats in a lot of creative industries and just in the makers market in general. That's, I think, why the rainbow that was the 70s color became so popular, because everyone just like copied each other and it became this massive trend. So I'm like really curious who like started that first. We will probably never know. And there's nothing wrong with something being a trend, but I think like one of my like holdbacks or fears of like putting my content on Pinterest, which I have pictures of my custom wedding invitations, is that what if it's like, and this is just like my personal hang up. Like I hope that potential clients are saving it for inspiration, but I also have the knowledge in the back of my head that I'm like, oh, well, Sophia over here, it could be saving that and taking it to her wedding stationer, who's then going to create something like my work. Sophia is not going to hire me, or vice versa, where another stationer in the industry or wherever it may be is creating a board of things that inspire them and they create work like based off of yours. So how do we avoid that like mental pitfall to get past that so that we're still sharing, if that makes sense?
100%. I mean, I have my designs for my shirts and I always get nervous, even on Instagram, to post my design. Cause you know how like when you get the final work from your designer, the proof or whatever, and you can post it on your Instagram. And I always get scared people are going to like screenshot it or they're going to come up with their own design that looks like mine. So that's definitely a fear that I 100% understand. And I think every creative business, product-based business has that fear. And I think you just have to get past the fact of somebody copying it is worth the risk of getting a customer. And I know it's scary. I get it. Trust me, 100%. Like I'm always terrified somebody's going to come up with my shirts, which people have asked to copy my shirts. So it's out there. People are going to do it no matter what. So my thing is if I can just take the risk and get the chances of somebody becoming a customer, it's worth it for me, because I'd rather know for sure I did everything in my power to get that customer versus being scared. So I think you have to switch it to proactive versus like reactive, you know, right. And does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. And I think like the approach of a service-based business promoting their stuff on Pinterest versus a product-based business is probably very different as well. And so we can dive into that a little more later. But I'm going to go ahead and let Cami, because I kind of went on a little bit of a rabbit trail there. So I'm going to let Cami rein us back in and get us back on track with like the next question we actually have for you that's like written down.
Okay, so reining it back in, and we're all unafraid and we're ready to put our stuff on Pinterest because we've overcome that fear that someone's going to copy. What types of things do we need to be set up for success? Like, do we need a business or a personal profile? Just like, how do we get our ducks in a row if we like don't even know where to begin?
So first of all, you want to have a business account on Pinterest. What you can do is you can convert. If you already have a Pinterest account, I would suggest converting it over to a business. It's very easy. You just claim your website. Because one, I'm just all about easy and I don't want to monitor two pages. So if I have a personal and then I have a business, it's just more work. And you can also do secret boards on Pinterest. So you can still have your business one and then keep your private stuff to be on a secret board. The biggest reason why you want to have a business account, same as Instagram. You can see the analytics. So if you're putting all these pins into the world, you want to make sure that you can track which ones are getting traction, which ones the audience is, telling you they want more of. Because if you have a pin that is hitting really well and driving a lot of traffic to your website, you want to create more. And if you don't have that business page, you do not have the access to the analytics. So you would never know. And you're just pinning, on hope versus with a plan.
Yes. So if we do notice like a pin is doing really well, on one board, is it smart to pin it to another board, or how can you like maximize the traction of one top performing pin?
Yeah, double down. I always say, like, if one is getting traction. So I have one that is called Packaging Tips for Beginners, or Where to Find the Best Deals on Packaging for Your Small Business. And I swear that is like the hugest driver of traffic for my website. So what I do is I create boards that are all similar. So you want to make sure that your boards are in your same brand category of the topics you're going to be pinning. So mine is all small business focused. So I have like small business tips, I have blogging tips for beginners, and then I have my actual blog board. So I have 3 boards that pin would actually do well on. So you want to create boards in that specific niche, so that way you can pin to that. Because if you have one that's like casual outfit ideas, and then I pin the packaging one, it doesn't work. And then Pinterest's algorithm doesn't do that well. So Pinterest is very like basic 5-year-old terms. They want everything to point in the same direction. So what you can do is create more pins and keep pinning them. So as long as you're creating fresh pins for the same link, you're okay. You're not spammy. So you can create 5 new pins, which is what I do. I do 5 pins a day, every single day. And it could be the same post, just different pins with different pictures, text overlay, all of that fun stuff. So double down on pins that are doing great. Like keep creating more pins for that actual post.
Would this work with podcasts, do you think? Like, because we blog.
Yeah, people post podcasts all the time.
Okay, because we blog our podcast things, but like Cami, we've never even like talked Pinterest for Biz
I
Birthday
know.
Bash.
We really haven't.
Now I'm kind of sitting here like, oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. It's free.
What have we been doing?
It's another way to get an audience, because I mean, Instagram seems to be like the most popular place, obviously, because that's where everybody hangs out most. But Pinterest is just another way. So especially if you're answering, let's take your podcast episode. If you're typing in your keywords in your description for that pin, like what you need to start a podcast, podcasting for beginners. And me and Catherine are looking to start our podcast. I go on Pinterest and I type in podcast tips for beginners. Yours comes up. I listen to your podcast to get the information. You just got a new listener for free.
Yep, we've been missing the boat on that one. So
what have we been doing?
I don't know.
That's what I'm here for, girl. That's what I realized. I'm like, holy crap, this is how people come and find me. It's Pinterest.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. So when it comes to like pin design, like you were talking about making 5 different pins. So let's talk about like how you actually put those together. Like what types of designs of pins perform best? Like, is there some best practices we could look out for when it comes to this?
Yeah. So obviously go on Canva. Do not do any type of pinning on your phone. If you're scrolling through Pinterest, totally fine. Do it on your phone. But if you are actually going in and creating pins, just do it on Canva. Trust me. Just trust me on this one. It'll save you so much time. People are like trying to do it on their phones and I'm like, oh, it's a nightmare. So go on canva.com. You can do the free one. I have it. It's totally fine. And they have Pinterest templates already set up for you, which yes. So what you can do is you get a template that you like and you can change the type of text overlay. They have pictures already there for you. So when you're setting up pins, I've done both. I've done pictures of me and then I did stock photos. Pictures of me tanked. Nobody cares about me. They were like, no, girl, we don't care. Get out the picture. So once you do stock photos, they perform very well on Pinterest. And what's cool is Canva already has stock photos for you to use. So you want to do stock photos, bright and airy, like not so like congested, because you're thinking of it in the feed and there's so many pins on your screen at one time. So a lot of like more, blank space or white space, whatever you want to call it, does really well. And popping like text. So if you know how a lot of people like the swirly text, which I'm sure you girls are fans of, hello. The swirly text doesn't do as well because Pinterest can't pull that from the image. So you want to use like the big, bold text and color combinations. You don't want to use like a white photo with like a light pale yellow text because it's not going to pop. So you want to make sure things are like popping to the eye when you're on your feed. And they don't always have to match either. A lot of like the bloggers do a lot of like the same text and the same kind of like feel of their pins, but I don't care. I'm like, whatever is going to get people to click on my crap, that's what I use. So don't overthink it too much.
Okay.
Yes. So in terms of like, I know you said using stock photos, but our audience obviously is custom makers, custom invitation designers, product makers. Like using a stock photo just doesn't really work for us. So do you have tips on like like a horizontal versus vertical photo, or like types of photos that perform best? Or do we need like a text overlay with our invitation images? Like, I guess I get hung up on whether I need to just post a picture of my invitation suite, or if it needs to be like, oh, custom watercolor wedding invitations, like over it or something like that.
And this is going to go to every single brand, business type of product. Test it. So test the long, the vertical, the short, the picture of your product alone, a picture of the text overlay. Like, you're going to have to test because your audience is going to be completely different from somebody else's audience. So whatever appeals to your audience isn't going to appeal to mine. Like, I personally love pictures of people, so I tend to click on those more because it builds trust. But other people only like stock photos because they just want the facts. So my advice would do like an A/B test. Do one picture of your product with a text overlay, and then do another picture of just your product, no text overlay, and see the analytics of which one is driving more traffic. That's kind of like the best way you can do anything, is just test it and repeat and test it again.
Yeah, for sure. I've been having my VA do some Pinterest pins for me. And I've been noticing she's been making like graphics, and like she'll do something like, oh, Christmas gift, click here, shop now. And those actually, I've noticed, seem to be doing better than just the product image alone. I think it might also has to do with like the size of the pins, because I feel like my product images are always square. So they just like look really small on Pinterest. So I feel like the vertical is making a difference. But what do I know? We're kind of doing A/B testing. I guess I didn't even think of it as that, but it kind of is.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like ads.
So,
you have to kind of put it out there, see which one your audience reacts to, and then, double down. So it's long game strategy. Pinterest isn't put your stuff out there, instantly get results. It's months and it's testing over time, because you got to find what your audience wants, which is always evolving anyways, as you guys know.
Right. So a lot of our audience sells either products or a service-based type of business that usually revolves around custom wedding invitations. So for custom wedding invitations, how are they supposed to get them like hooked on that content? Because I think maybe one of the Pinterest mistakes I've been making is I have just posted pictures of my work, and if they click through it, it leads to my portfolio page on my website. But what I should be doing, I'm assuming, kind of from hearing you talk about Pinterest strategy, is, I mean, I have a bunch of blog posts, so maybe I should be creating pins for those blog posts and that content instead of just like a landing page. Maybe you can clarify.
Yeah, I would agree. I would do both, because you have two different audiences you're trying to market to. So you have an audience that you want to have brides and that are looking for inspiration and looking for the business side. And then you also have the bride that's looking for help and for information. So it's kind of hard to, give you one answer because your audience is so different.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to figure out who your target is and create pins for that person, and then figure out who your other audience is, because you have two different buyers, it sounds like.
Well, not necessarily two different buyers. I definitely used to. Like, part of the reason that Cammie and I are doing Biz Birthday Bash is because we wanted to remove a lot of the educational stuff from our own wedding brands. So I've transitioned away from that like a lot, but I still have blog posts for brides and grooms and couples, whoever it may be, that are things like how to best organize your guest list, like help articles. But they're help articles that would still help my ideal client who wants to hire me. So I think that's why I'm trying to where I'm trying to make the connection for Pinterest specifically, especially when people are paying Cammie and I anywhere from like $7,000 to $10,000 to do custom wedding invitations, and just how to like appeal to that person correctly on Pinterest. So I guess it's just going to take a little bit of experimentation, kind of like you were saying.
Yeah. And I always, I don't do this for a living. I've literally done this like for my business. So I can speak from experience on that. So I'm sorry that I'm not like completely pro. I'm like, hey girl, I wish I can give you the answers, but I just know from my results. And that is through value. I mean, I started to do salesy pins because I was like, okay, I don't need people to come to my blog because I'm never going to monetize my blog. I need to make money, right? As everybody thinks. So I started doing like subscription pins, which is like, if you need a community, hey boss babe, if you need a community, or, monthly graphic tee delivered to your door, and it tanked. It did nothing. My traffic dropped. I never got any subscribers. It was awful. So I recalibrated, redid my strategy to where now I'm providing a value in every pin I do. I always lead back to a blog post that can do value. I lead back to a YouTube video or an Instagram video or some sort of topic that will get that trust factor. Then in turn, they see my content and it builds trust, it builds that relationship, and then they sign up for my subscription. I've gotten a couple people signed up for my subscription through Pinterest by providing value. So my always, go-to is provide value first.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's great to know.
Yeah, so basically like a funnel, like
Exactly.
maybe having the thing where they have to like download it or whatever, like, download the top 10 wedding invitation tips or whatever, and then you get their email, you can market to them that way with like a, Elizabeth, how you do all your email campaigns. Like, I think like that is how we need to think of it, instead of like, here's pretty invitations and just assuming they're going to click on it, is now what I'm understanding.
Right.
Yeah, with Pinterest, it's just the value. People are there. They're not there specifically to like buy things. Like, Instagram, people occasionally buy stuff because they see ads. But on Pinterest, it's more, they're there for a certain reason, especially with weddings. I mean, you're there for just so much information and you're trying to get the best on everything and be knowledgeable when you're planning your wedding and doing all that stuff. So it's like, if you can be the authority in that industry and they're like, oh my gosh, this girl's amazing, she's so helpful, then all of a sudden they fall in love with you. And that's where the magic happens.
Perfect.
Hey y'all, we are interrupting your regularly scheduled programming to tell you about a little something called a free webinar. Elizabeth and I celebrated our 4-year Biz birthdays on September 16th. So of course we want to do something to celebrate, and we were like, we should throw it back to the original Biz Birthday Bash that we had, where we did a free webinar and invite everyone. So that is what we're doing on October 14th. Got to give you some time to plan. Time to plan, you guys.
Time to plan, y'all. You have a good 3 weeks at this point when you're hearing this message on our podcast to get your butt signed up for this, because like Cami said, we have not done a free webinar since like OG Biz Birthday Bash, which was the fall of 2017. We weren't even legit at that point, guys. Like, we just like threw something together and we're like, let's do this. 500 of you signed up and it was awesome. So we know this one's going to be even bigger than that for sure.
Yes. So here's the deal. It's called 4 Essentials You Need to Turn Your Biz into a Profit Party. Obviously, it's 4 because it's our 4-year Biz anniversary, Biz birthday. Woo! 4. Okay.
Heck yeah.
So to sign up, all you have to do is go to bizbirthdaybash.com/profit party. Very easy. You can remember that, okay? Because we're going to teach you how to make your biz a profit party. It's going to be so much fun. Awesome sauce stuff. And of course, we'll do a live Q&A after too.
Yep, absolutely. We'll probably spend an hour talking about our 4 essentials, and then we'll probably spend another hour knowing us, answering questions and taking anything you want to ask us. Honestly, we will probably be down to answer it, provided it is appropriate and business related.
Thank you for that disclaimer. Yeah, it'll be like a live Q and Cake episode. They're always fun, and I'm going to answer. I know you probably have a question right now, and your question is there a replay? And the answer is yes, there is a replay. As long as you sign up at bizbirthdaybash.com/profit party, you can come to the live webinar and get the recording, the replay, so you can watch it anytime you want. So just do it.
Absolutely. Do it. All right. Go ahead and sign up and we'll catch you guys there.
Yep. bizbirthdaybash.com/profit party. So in terms of like captions or hashtags or whatever keywords, I don't even know what it's called on Pinterest, but definitely something that I have like a stumbling block with. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, I'll put some hashtags on here, and other times I'm like, no, I'll just write out a caption. And I don't even know how I need to be approaching that. Do you have any tips on that?
Yeah, so keywords is what you're using in your descriptions. So keywords are literally the bread and butter of Pinterest. So you want to put your keywords in your bio. So your actual bio for your page, like what you do, your business and everything. So mine is my girlfriend Renee, small business tips, and stuff like that. So I have keywords for my description. Then you want to have keywords in your boards. Then you want to have keywords in every single pin you use. So whatever the topic of that blog post, that product, you want to type it in. And on the top of Pinterest, you can type in search. So it'll be small business tips. And then those little colorful bubbles show up underneath it, kind of like in Google search.
Mm-hmm.
Those are what people are searching. So you want to say I type in small business tips and the little bubbles come up and it says for product-based business, for beginners. Those are your keywords. That's Pinterest telling you that's what people are searching. That's the most popular things. So you want to take those search words and turn them into a subscription. So I would be like, hey, are you a small business owner that needs a little bit of tips to get started? And then that way, when people type in small business tips, my keyword from that description comes up in the search. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah. And then your board would also match that keyword as well.
Small business tips board. So it's like, and then on the text overlay, because Pinterest is creepy, they take the images and they pull from that as well. So if I have, so if I have my office in the background and the text overlay says small business tips, they're going to take all those images and all of those words and they're going to put that in the search as well. It's very, very smart how they do their algorithm.
I did not realize that they took the words from the photo. I didn't know that was a thing. Oh.
Yeah, so like graphic tees. That's how I came across it, because I was doing graphic tee pictures and I was reading a blog post on how to test if your image comes up at the right search. So what you would do is create a pin and put your image that you're going to use. So you can put one of your invitation pictures and then you pin it with no description. And then underneath it'll say like more like this. Like you guys said earlier in the podcast, you were like, when you're scrolling and you just go down the rabbit hole, it's the same thing. So you would scroll down and you would see other images that relate. And then if you have other invitations, obviously you did the right, the image is perfect. So if I did graphic tees and I put that, but I didn't have graphic tees in the image as much as I thought, and I did it and something random came up, that means my image isn't in line. So it's not going to rank as high in the algorithm. You want it all to be like a basic 5-year-old, small business tips, small business tips, small business tips, and everything, so that Pinterest knows exactly what you're here to do.
Perfect.
So in terms of getting your numbers up, I think we've talked about providing value. Can we talk about like getting views and click-through conversions? Like what have you seen to make those click-through conversions even higher?
Mostly it's consistency, because you want to know, like, you're going to rank higher if you're putting out more content, because you're going to have more of a chance of being seen. Kind of like Instagram, kind of like everything else. If you put one post out of the month, you're really not going to get much traction. But if you're going live every week, you're doing IGTV, you're doing reels, you're going to get more traction. So what you want to do is also not have clickbait. So you want to be consistent. And then 2, if you're putting a pin out there, make sure you're providing value in everything you say in your pin. So you don't want to say like, check this discount of this, invitation, and then it leads to just a sales page with no discount, because then people are going to click out. So make sure you're honest and you're upfront and you're providing value with what you're saying, as far as like building that trust and being reliable.
Okay, so when it comes to like getting more and more pins out there, I've been using Tailwind, and by me using Tailwind, I mean my VA has been using Tailwind. Do you recommend things like Tailwind for pinning, or is it better to like be natively pinning in Pinterest? Because I feel like when I schedule posts for Instagram for Biz Birthday Bash, sometimes they don't do as well as when I just like post them from my phone. So I'm just wondering if that's similar in Pinterest or if that doesn't really matter.
I've read both. I mean, there's a strong, debate right now going on, because Pinterest is, they prefer people to be on the app and actively pinning and putting fresh pins. So they're going to reward that, I believe, too. I've had Tailwind in the beginning because I thought that's what I was supposed to do. And the more I used it, the more I realized it wasn't helping my traffic, but it was helping my vanity metrics. So by that, I mean, it got my monthly views up to 8 million. That does not mean traffic, though. So I was spending the $14.99 a month to pay for Tailwind, but to fill all of those spots, I was pinning other people's content. So I was paying $15 a month to get other people's content going because it was feeding my vanity metrics. I looked credible, but it wasn't feeding my traffic. So I canceled Tailwind, and now I stick to the 5 pin a day strategy, which is what I teach my girls in the Boss Babe Shirt Club. And that's what I use. It's realistic, it's achievable, and it helps me. So 5 pins a day is I create 5 fresh pins and I pin those to Pinterest, and then I'm done. So that way, Monday through Friday, that's 25 pins that I put out there in the week. But Tailwind does serve a purpose. And I think it's good for people who are like a virtual assistant, who don't have access to, creating tons of pins all day, or who work full time, or a mom, or somebody who's having a problem being consistent with Pinterest. I would definitely recommend Tailwind. But I personally have noticed better results not using it.
I'm so glad that you offered that clarification of vanity metrics. Oh my gosh. I literally think about this all the time when someone is selling anything related towards Pinterest and they have all these people that are like, oh, my views went up to 1 million, or in your case, 8 million, whatever. And I kind of always find myself thinking, well, so what? Like, I want to know your sales.
Exactly.
I want to know your click-throughs, your website views, your traffic. Who cares how much your content is being seen on Pinterest if it's not accomplishing the goal of it, like, being seen somewhere else? And it's the same thing with, like, Instagram or any other social media platform, like followers, like Cami and I have said this all the time, like followers are such a vanity thing on Instagram. Like, it does not always convert to clients and customers. In fact, I can guarantee, like, most of the time it does not convert to clients and customers.
1000%.
The only good thing about having like 10,000 followers on Instagram is they give you the swipe up. So of course they want you to, like, spend a ton of time on the platform trying to get a bunch of followers just to have this one feature. I get it. It's a whole business, like, marketing thing, but I'm just glad you said that because I was like, oh, hallelujah. She at least put that out there. That makes me feel so much better.
Well, I noticed that too, because I was in a lot of groups and there was a lot of people pushing courses on how to get your monthly views up. I had 8 million monthly views. So me being me, I had to prove it wrong. So of course I got my monthly views up to 8 million because I wanted to prove a point. And I was like, I have to learn this for myself. So I got them up, but that did not translate to traffic at all. It was people just constantly clicking on other people's pins. So it really didn't do any value. Same with followers on Pinterest. It doesn't mean you're making sales as well. As long as all I care about, like when you look in the analytics, is I don't care about impressions. I don't care about reach. I care about link clicks. So I tell all my friends, I'm like, hey, go in your analytics and look at the actual link clicks. You can do that. You can click a button that says only show me link clicks. And then you can see, what you should pay attention to. Because it's the same as Instagram. If you have 10,000 followers that are quiet looking in the bushes, you're not going to make as much money if you have 2,000 that are commenting every single day.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yes, this is so freaking true. Oh my gosh, yes. I don't even know like what my Pinterest analytics are. I mean, I look at them, but I couldn't tell you off the top of my head because it's just not something that's been front of mind for me. But I did get excited because it was like, oh, do you want to make an ad from this pen? And I was like, yeah. So I like clicked the little button and it was like, I think I paid like $15 because I was feeling cheap that day. But I did an ad for like 3 days and I got like 50 clicks and I was like, sweet, but I didn't get any sales from it. But I just felt proud that I took branched out a little bit. Anyway, let's talk about Pinterest ads. Have you worked with these at all? Have you seen any success? Is there some best practices there to think about with ads, like maybe ad spend per day or just anything really, because I really just threw it out there.
Yeah. I mean, I was excited that you were talking about it because I wanted to hear your results. Because I'm like, I for one am still on the Instagram ads. I'm teaching myself that right now. I've been doing it for a couple months and seeing a lot of results on that, which is funny because my ads are going to a free Pinterest guide. So that's kind of like where my attention has been. And I haven't gone on Pinterest ads, although I hear that they're very cheap compared to Facebook and Instagram. I just personally enjoy the fact that it's free and I'm like going to use it as long as possible. I'm like, I don't even want to start opening money over there because I'm like, I'm already dropping dollars on Instagram. So I'm like, let me ride this free train as long as possible. And to be honest, the traffic is great. I mean, I've gotten a couple subscribers. So to me, that's invaluable because it's a long-term value for me. So for ads, I don't have much experience in. I'm not even going to try and fake it. But if you do it, I would test 100%. Just like you would any other, ads manager that you would do. But I'm excited to hear your results if you keep doing it.
Yeah, I'm going to keep doing it because I was like, this is really cheap and it's like super easy to do. And now I just feel
and that was 50 people that got to know your brand. So, I mean, I don't think there's a downside.
Like, that's cool. That was cool. I feel like that was a pretty good amount. Like it was like 58 clicks for $15, which I feel like is like not that much. And I did see like my email list grew by like 20 subscribers or something. So I'm like, that seems good because when you go to my website, there's like a pop-up that comes up. So I'm like, I feel like that is like a good, spend. But again, I'm just like playing with it now. Like this literally happened like last week. So, so we'll see if I have more to share on that at some point.
Perfect. Yay. That definitely, I think, covers that pretty thoroughly in terms of what people can start doing in that. And I'm sure there's a ton of people who are like really, really on top of Pinterest ads out there in the interwebs.
I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get them on here and then invite me back.
We'll do
Yes, we can get
and
that.
I'll listen.
So yeah, we've kind of reached like the end of our questions that we had set aside for you today, Renee. But our last one for you, our last official one, is what's your number one trick or strategy for Pinterest success? If you had to tell our audience just one thing about Pinterest, what would it be?
I would say stay consistent and don't overthink it. Like I have done the 5 pins a day, which now takes me about 10 minutes. Realistically, I put it in my list of tasks of things to do every single day, and I do my 5 pins and I'm done. So that way I'm being proactive. I'm putting stuff into the world, and it gets me and my blog consistently, out there to new people. Because if you double down on Instagram, double down on Facebook and your email list, it's like, it can get overwhelming. So as long as you're just hitting all of the points and not, overwhelming yourself with 5 pins, everybody can do. I mean, realistically, everybody has 10 minutes, and you're doing something productive for your business. So I would say 5 pins a day, Monday through Friday, get it done.
I love it. I feel like that is doable. 5 pins like that. I'm just like, I can totally
you can
do that.
schedule them all at one time too. They have the little checkbook. So you just do 5 pins, schedule them all at once, link them all back to the same blog post, and you're done. It's literally 10 minutes. Like, it's easy.
Well, I'm going to cheat because I'm just going to do 5 repins of the pins that were posted on Tailwind to another board. So I don't know if that's exactly right, but it's okay. We're doing it. So, okay.
Hey, whatever works. I don't judge, girl. I don't judge.
All right. Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Renee. And can you tell everyone where they can find you? Because I know you share awesome tips on Instagram about like lighting and all kinds of fun stuff too. So just let everyone know where they can find you.
I'm at My Girlfriend Renee on all platforms, and my website is mygirlfriendrenee.com. So everything is My Girlfriend Renee.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. It was such a joy to have you on. This is going to be such a fun episode. I can't wait.
Yeah, if anybody needs any help, don't be afraid to reach out. I'm happy to help in any way that I can. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Thank you.
All right. Talk to you later. Bye.